All right, what's going on? What's going on? This is Ola coming to you live from my Empire Pro Studios. Let's have some fun, please. If you are the one watching me live, let me just try to make sure by myself. I just want to make sure that the audio is working good. Let's see here before I get started. All right, perfect. Audio is working good. All right, so welcome back. Welcome back. This is my Empire Pro Studios. If you haven't gotten started yet, make sure you go to 11dayschallenge.com and take a look at the presentation that I have up there. If you're looking to get into real estate wholesaling, that's what we cover here. But we also go into real estate money secrets. So my name is Ola. Like I said, I'm the author of Smart Real Estate Wholesaling and Real Estate Money Secrets. And you can get a hold of all this. So just go to 11dayschallenge.com. You will see access, get access to all of these books. But yeah, welcome back. Welcome back. It's been quite a few weeks. Got a couple of things that I wanted to cover today, but more so, I just wanted to answer a few questions that came in, and then keep it moving. If you have any questions during this session and you're live with me, feel free to post it. I will see if I can address it. But we're gonna hang out here. We try to come here every Tuesday. This is a 48th edition of From Data to Deals. That's basically what I teach. Okay, I teach you to get started with data. If you don't know what data is, you're probably not going to do any deals. Okay, and it's a process that you need to understand. Or maybe I can actually do a quick overview. This is the diagram right here of the process from data to deals. In between that, there are about 3 stages that you have to go through: data, contact, leads, contract, and then deals. And then that's a whole that's the system right there. Okay, and there's processes in between to accomplish that. If you're doing this the right way, you should only your activities in this business should only be focused on 1 or 2 of these stages, and everything else should honestly be automated or be outsourced if you want to make the most out of this business. If you're trying to do everything, which is what I see everyone trying to do, you're trying to do every single one of these stages, chances are that's the reason why you're failing. However, you have to set it up the right way in the first place, and that's what we cover heavily at 11dayschallenge.com. Now, with that being said, a couple of questions that came in, and we should just go ahead and address them. All right. All right. So here's a question here. Can I call a foreclosure attorney? Okay. Can I call a foreclosure attorney for info on a property? Can I call a foreclosure attorney for info on a property? All right, so let me give a quick background to why this question came up. So on this channel, on this YouTube channel, if you're watching me on YouTube or on Facebook, you can find my YouTube channel, Ola Talks Abitogun. We have tons of videos on pre-foreclosure wholesaling, and some of these questions come in from time to time. And what I teach here is, remember what I just said, data, right? I talked about data just now, right? And I talk about building this as a business, not just some kind of hobby, not as a 1963 business, right? It's about data. Everything starts with data. But if you have to call attorneys to find out the information on the property, ask yourself, how many properties are you going to call on before you close a deal? You're just going to get frustrated out of the whole business. Okay. Because think about it, it's a numbers game. You're going to have to go through quite a few property owners before you actually close a deal. Okay. So not when I say a few, think about few times 1,000, right? So it's the only way you can do that. The only way you can really do that in a way that you won't get frustrated out of the business is to automate things. Okay, you have to automate the whole process. 80% of the process has to be automated, and the only thing you should be, when I say automated, that means create a system, and all it needs is input. So like this computer that I'm live broadcasting to you on, right? The input is just me talking. Imagine me having to take to basically handle everything that's going on in this computer, basically receive the audio, receive the video, process it, send it through the internet, make sure it goes to the right place, make sure it goes to the people that actually want to hear about wholesaling, right? Imagine me having to worry about that. then that's going to be a frustrated effort, right? And that's what a lot of people do when it comes to real estate investing and wholesaling. They're trying to do everything. They want to be the one to call, they want to be the one to give the contract, they want to be the one to close the deal, they want to know everything up front. Honestly, what you need is a system that works, and all you have to do is put the input, has the input to. So what is the input in this process, right? With pre-foreclosure, the input will be people, potential sellers, meaning sellers that have a property in pre-foreclosure, meaning they haven't paid in a while, right? So you need to do that in a way that's cost effective, in a way that's optimistic, in a way that's efficient. Okay, you need to do that with time in mind. Okay, if you have to spend so much time calling attorneys one by one to find out information about any piece of property, you're going to get frustrated out of the business. So it doesn't work like that. The way it works is you need access to data. The data is public records, data of pre-foreclosure pre-foreclosure information. Pre-foreclosure properties in pre-foreclosure is in 99% of the market is public records. You just need access to that data in a time effective manner, in a way that it can come to your computer so you can process it, and then you can create an outreach campaign to them. So even outreach campaign, like now we're talking about stage number 2, contact, right? Even at that, you have to try to automate as much as possible. You can't get stuck in 1963. You can't. You see, I keep saying 1963. I wasn't born in 1963, by the way. But you get the point, right? The point is that don't get stuck in the past. Technology has made everything easy. So you can actually cover stage 1 and 2, which is data and contact, with simple online campaigns that, like worst case scenario, let's say you're completely broke. At least you can use text message to reach out to some pieces of data that you've collected in a time effective manner. That's how we do this business. No, you cannot be calling foreclosure attorneys. Number one, they're not going to respond to you. You're wasting their time too, right? So the moment they catch you on the phone and you're sounding off like somebody that just fell for a guru somewhere and looking for information on the property, they're going to look at you like, why? Why do you need information? Well, it's public records. Well, you need to go to the town, go to the city, or go to a website, because all these things is available everywhere. So the question is that no, don't call foreclosure attorney for every one of those 1,000 properties that you need to go through to find a deal. There are ways that you can use computer systems to do all of that work, and the only people you talk to on the phone are people that have a property to sell, right? That system has filtered everything. Sorry about that. And the system has filtered everything and it's pre-qualified every prospect, and the only people that's talking to you is somebody that has a property to sell. Okay, so for those of you that are running after cold calling and stuff like that, I just basically told you that you're wasting time too. There are easier, faster, and cheaper ways to do this business than to waste all your time sitting on the phone trying to convince a person to give you their house for free. Doesn't make sense, right? So there are better ways, and that's something that, again, we cover heavily in 11dayschallenge.com. So no, don't call foreclosure attorney. I'm sure there's a guru probably 10 years, 15 years ago that taught doing something crazy like that, but don't do that, okay? All right, so let's go on to the next one. All right, so how do you find investors? So this is so somebody was watching one of the bird dog videos that I have out there on the channel. So what is bird dogging? Bird dogging basically is a dog that goes out to fetch birds, right? Something like that. And the idea of that is sorry about that. It's some kind of acronym, okay? Not acronym, but it's a term that's used to describe people that just go out there to find deals, okay? So all you do is you just drive around town, you find a overweeded house, a house that looks like it needs some work, and basically it needs some work, and all you do is write down the address and send it to quote unquote an investor who would want to buy the house. That's the idea, okay? But it's a terrible idea in 2020 and beyond. Okay, it's a terrible idea. Why? Because first of all, the investors have access to the same information that you're driving around, and they have access to it, like right now, and they have access to thousands of them. Okay, so the worst thing you want to do is now spend a lot of time and then send the address to an investor. They're supposed to do all the vetting, and then hopefully pay you $1,000, $2,000 at some point. You know, bird dog is a strategy that was taught 15 years ago when I first started in 2005, and I mean, at that time, I guess it made sense. Hey, if you found something good, just write it down and send it to me. I'll pay you. I'll pay you. Score referral fees, right? $500, $1,000 if I close the deal. But the truth is that life is so easier. Things are so easier, right? Technology has made everything so easy that you can run, like you could. There's a phrase I'm looking for. Um, you could give the investors a run for their money just because you have a laptop. Okay. How would you like to be in a position where investors are literally begging you? They're the one begging you to do business with them, even though they have more money than you, right? But because you understand the power of technology, I just said power, okay? Because power is a lot bigger and a lot better than money, right? Where does power come from? Well, a lot of times, even since the beginning of time, right, it comes from. I'm a little clumsy with my word, by the way, because I haven't done a live session in about 3 weeks, but we'll be fine. The power comes from information first, especially in the information age. Like it's always been that way, by the way, right? But especially information age, power comes from information. You have to have access to the right information, but that's not good enough, obviously, because you do have access. It's about executing on the right information too, right? And the best information in this time and age, in the data age, the best information comes from actual data, right? Actual data. And a lot of people that have old money don't necessarily they don't necessarily know this or have respect for it. Some of them are still living in the la la land, in the old ways. And like right now there's something actually going on live right now is because some people are still living in 1965. They don't realize that power is basically almost synonymous to information and being able to act on that information. Okay. So how do you find investor? Number one thing you need to understand is that you are an investor. That's number one thing you need to understand. You are the investor. Okay. Because you understand there's power in investing what you have, right? Whatever you have right now, you got time more than money, then that's luxury for you. And for somebody who doesn't have as much time, but they have money, that's an advantage over them. So now there's a way you can bring value to that situation. It's all about that first core pillar, right? First core pillar that I covered in Smart Real Estate Wholesaling, right? It's about who can bring the most value to the marketplace, but also who can flip value into calls, right? People calling you and into deals, right? Some people are waiting until I have access to the same data, the same money that the gurus and the investors have access to. But actually, you have access to something that they would die for if they could, right? Time, right? And you can now use that as your own input into the system and then flip that, and then it becomes deals. I know it's a whole lot, it's a mouthful that I just said, but just stick with me. Again, keep in mind, you are the investor, okay? It's not only money that people invest, you invest your time, you invest time in learning, invest time in your education, invest time in getting some experience, working with some other people, right? Invest time in watching videos. I don't have time to watch as many videos as I would like to watch, even if it's entertainment, right? I would like to sit down and just watch videos, but I don't have that time because my goals are they get bigger. The more I accomplish, the bigger my goals get, right? But you probably have right now is just time, right? How do you invest that into educating yourself virtually, especially after COVID, post COVID era, right? How do you invest in yourself this moment? How do you take advantage of these moments right now? That's something you should pay attention to. So now I kind of derailed a little bit, but the idea is don't be a birder, okay? Don't be a birder. You're the investor. You have access to cash if you find a good deal. If you don't find a good deal, even if you have cash, that cash will leave you eventually. Do you get what I'm just saying? If you don't know if let's say you have all this money right now, let's say you have $2 million to invest, and then you just want to go out there and invest and just throw money at houses, what's going to happen eventually is that you're going to lose all that money because you don't have education. You don't understand how money is flipped in this time and age, and it's because you lack that knowledge, you're going to lose all that money. So wherever you are right now is actually a privilege. Just understand that it's a privilege. You're the investor. You're not a birder. Just focus on finding good deals. Focus on learning how to market so that calls can come to you from people that are distressed sellers that have properties to sell, okay, and they just want to get rid of it, right? And because they're in that position, financially, they're able to negotiate a good deal. You negotiate that deal, you lock it in. How? You need contracts. You need a special type of contract. No, you don't. Okay, just lock it in. Okay, find a contract. There's contracts everywhere on the internet. Okay, lock it in. But you need the type of contract is not the issue. It's how motivated are these sellers. Do you have the skill set to generate leads of sellers calling you? That's really your problem. Everything else will be taken care of. Like everything else, once you generate a good lead, as far as contract, everything else will be taken care of. Okay. But establishing that stage 2 contact where personally I prefer that they call me, right? Where they actually call me and I'm like, okay, how may I help you? Oh yeah, I'm calling you because I saw your post about this and I wanted to know if you're still buying houses. That conversation is a lot different than, hey, are you open to selling your house? It's just two different things, two different worlds, right? And I prefer the former, right? Where somebody's calling me and I'm in a position to say, how may I help you? It makes my life a lot more easier. And with digital marketing in this time and age, it's the easiest thing to do, okay? So again, like I said, even if you're broke and you don't have money to set up campaigns online and stuff like that, at the very minimum, you should be pre-qualifying people using text message before you get on the phone with them. You shouldn't be talking to people that's 90% chance they're going to curse you out. It's a waste of your time and you're going to get frustrated. You're going to frustrate all your effort if you're doing that, okay? If you're still doing that, you're looking for a better way, that's what we cover. We help you execute that in 11dayschallenge.com. So let's go on to the next one here. All right, so is it true that probate properties must sell for 90% or more of the market value? All right, so this is a loaded question. So what is probate, first of all? Probate is basically essentially properties that owned by an estate that there was no will. Okay, there was no will. An estate, somebody died, they owned the property when they were alive, but when they died, there was no will. So they had to go through a court proceeding of some sort. Till today, after 15 years, I don't understand exactly how that goes down. You know why? Because I don't bother myself with legal stuff, okay? That's not what I do. There are two things I could potentially be when it comes to this game. It's either I'm a marketer or I'm an investor. I'm nothing else, okay? I'm not even a wholesaler. Wholesaler, what is that, right? Wholesaling is a strategy, okay, that I do use, but that's just one strategy out of there's so many strategies I cover in Real Estate Money Secrets that you should go pick up right now. Just go to realestatemoneysecrets.com, right? So you get the point. My point there is that probate, that's it right there. Somebody died without a will, and typically the children that inherited the property, they want to get rid of the property. They don't care about these properties. Some of them think there's big money on the house, and some of them just, maybe if they're well off, they just want to sell it. They understand there's work needed, this repairs that's needed in the property, and they don't want to deal with that. Maybe they live like 2,000 miles away, right? So this can present good opportunities for investors, as you can imagine, right? So that's where this question is coming from. Is it true that probate properties must sell for 90% or more of the market value? That rule right there by default is false, okay? What if the property is worth less? A lot less than that? Okay, I guess it's worth market value 90%. What is the market value? So I always tell people it depends on what you're looking at, right? If I'm looking at a piece of property and I'm talking to the owner and I offer them fair market value, what is fair market value? Fair market value means so many things to so many people, right? Because your property is worth $200,000 after repair doesn't mean it's worth $200,000 right now. Does that make sense? Because it's worth $200,000 after repair does not mean it's worth $200,000 right now. It means it's worth $200,000 after repair. It does not, the after repair value is not the same thing as fair market value. Okay, so at any point in time, somebody want to sell me a property at 90% of its fair market value, I always welcome it, because I'm the buyer, right? And I get to determine, at least everyone I deal with, I get to determine what the fair market value is. And I'm gonna run the numbers. I'm gonna run the comps. I determine what the fair market value is. But the question is coming from a confusion between after repair value, and fair market value. And if I have an appraiser or a realtor come to me by way of the owners and say, hey, they told us this property is actually worth $200,000, I'm going to look at it a little closer. I'm going to say, send me some pictures, because I only do virtual wholesaling, right? And send me some pictures. By the way, I've done virtual wholesaling since forever. Okay, like even when I only focused in New Jersey locally, I did it forever. Like I literally make people sign their contract and fax it to me. I've been doing that since at least since 2006. I stopped going to people's houses in 2005 because I had a terrible experience going to people's houses. And the terrible experience wasn't because somebody shot at me or anything like that. No, it wasn't that. It was because I was wasting my time. A lot of time I would show up and people are now ready to sign my contract. Evidence that I'm dealing with a non-motivated seller, right? But it's a waste of my time. So eventually I learned that, you know what? At that time, it was fax was the popular thing. There was no DocuSign or anything like that. And I just say, hey, I'm gonna send you an email with the contract, sign it and get it over to me, and then we get started. That's how I do it. And if you don't sign it, there's no harm. It just means you're not motivated enough. And I focus my time and my energy on marketing. Okay, it's either I'm marketing or I'm investing. I stay away from everything in between, all the legal stuff. Okay, all right. So I hope I answered that question. Again, 90% of market value, I always welcome it, but I get to decide what the market value is. Okay, and as long as because even at 90, that means I'm getting a discount regardless. So if your property is worth $200,000 after repair value, it needs some work. It needs about $30,000 of work. Like right there, we're slashing off $170,000. In addition to that, I'm slashing off 35% of that. That's another $35,000 because now I have to put in the work. So I'm going to charge you business cost because that's I have to do business now. I have to fix and flip a house, right? So I got to charge the situation 35%, right? So then in addition to that, I charge another $30,000 for the repair. That's $65,000 off already, right? So we're dealing with $135,000 already, and I'm probably going to start my negotiations at, I'm going to think like, okay, worst case scenario, let me slash another 10% off of that, right? So we're now dealing with $110,000. Okay, so I'm a fair market value of your property is $110,000. You want to give me 90% of that discount? That will be essentially another $11,000. I get to pick it up for $99,000. I always welcome that. Again, it all depends on how you look at it. Okay, fair market value and after repair value are never the same thing. That's really the answer to that question. All right, so how do you get wholesaling proof of funds? Okay, this is a loaded question as usual. All right, so I don't worry about proof of funds. I've never had to provide proof of funds. When my brother started to partner with me, he did not believe me because I was in the business a few years before he joined me as a partner. And when I told him, stop wasting your time on people that ask for proof of funds, he would say, oh yeah, but you never know. I said, bro, I do know there's a chance that there's a deal that I'm about to lose, but what I can't afford to lose is taking away time and effort away from my marketing, because that's the pipeline. Okay, that's the pipeline that feeds the beast. Okay, I can't afford that. Okay, now we're talking about running this as a business. Okay, listen, every time you take your eyes off of that one little thing that you could potentially be losing money, there's a case that can be made, of course, that hey, you may be losing out. Why don't you try to talk to them? Like let me give you a straight up example. Like sometimes I get email from people that say, hey, they want to talk to me before they buy the 11 days challenge. I said, we don't. Okay, we can answer a few text messages that has to do with the sales process. Is the page broken, or it did not accept your payment form, or your credit card is declined or something? Yes, sure. And some people insist that no, I have to talk to them. I said, no, I don't have to talk to you. You can actually make a choice to go somewhere else. I only talk to my customers. Okay, why? It's not because I'm being extra in any form. Is because again, the one thing that we all don't have enough of is time. Okay, and I'm going to be teaching. If I sit down here and I start talking to 200 people every day that have never bought anything from me, right? Basically, I am also teaching them. I'm teaching them unproductive activities. Basically, okay. That's essentially what I'm doing, because what I do is not. It's not really. I don't do the snake oil sales thing. Okay. What I do prove itself. it proves itself. If I'm talking to you like this, you can tell if I know what I'm saying or not. If I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about, it's a free world. You just simply move on, right? And I don't mean that in any kind of disrespect. It could be a very legit, like I don't trust him. It could be extremely legit, right? And that's okay. And that's what I personally believe that the world is moving. Just transparency, service, the first core pillar that I covered in the book, which is value. If I bring you value, that's all I want you to care about. It could be entertainment value. Like there's some other channels that have that entertainment value. It's not just a talking head like myself, right? And they tend to get a lot more attraction, and that's okay. That's the value they bring, and but it's a way that everyone pays their own due. Everyone has to pay their own dues, right? So that's what I'm saying. When it comes to a seller asking you to bring a proof of funds, isn't that a testament that seller may not be motivated enough for what you're actually trying to do? What you're trying to do is try to get a house at a discount, significant discount, that it will make sense for you to lock it under contract and give it to an investor that can actually make money from the deal. If a person is asking you for proof of funds and you entertain them, you run around town looking for proof of funds for the next 30 days, maybe 3 days, and you found one and you gave it to them. Now they're going to ask you like, okay, who's this bank? How do I verify this bank? All that kind of craziness, right? You're engaging in the conversation when you can actually engage in conversations with 2,000 people at the same time by learning a few marketing skill sets. Okay, the right people, targeted market, not people that are vetting you or confused if they want to work with you or not. Okay, so my advice to you is this: focus on. There's enough people in the world, 7 billion people, right? There's enough people, right, that would gladly accept your services, the value that you bring to the marketplace. Find those people. What does it take to find those people? Marketing skills. Find those people and continue to bring them the most value you can bring them. If a person is asking for proof of funds, there's a good chance they're not motivated. Okay, I don't waste my time on it. Now, with that being said, all you have to do is Google proof of funds for wholesaling. There's a ton of them that comes up. There are hard money lenders that will give you proof of funds for the sake of it. They don't care. They don't check your credit because they're hoping one day you bring them some kind of business. Okay, it's just them typing up a paper saying you have access to $2 million. It's a paper. Okay, you can show it to them, and then hopefully they'll sign your contract. There's a good chance, a very high good chance that they still won't sign, because again, you're teaching them this bad behavior that not necessarily bad behavior, but it's unproductive behavior for your it's an unproductive behavior for your processes. Okay, for wholesaling in particular, or house flipping, or you're running this as a business. It's not, you don't want to be going through that. You need motivated sellers. They have a piece of property, they don't want it anymore, they need to get rid of it. They don't care about vetting and all that stuff. There's a contract to sign, they don't mind if you steal the house away from them. Those are the people that you're looking to deal with. So hopefully that answered your question. All right, so question here: what licenses do you need to flip houses? All right, so licenses to flip houses, I don't know. That I get that question a lot. That's why you see me doing that. But it's a legitimate question. It depends on where you are in the business. Maybe it sounds dumb for some, but it's not a dumb question. It's actually a legitimate question. Flipping houses. What is flipping houses? Means you buy a house for less, for lower, and you sell it for higher, right? Sometimes we do that using strategic creative structuring, like wholesaling, like subject twos and stuff like that. But it's still buying and selling houses technically, right? And all of that is flip houses. In recent times, they try to separate it. Flip houses means you actually do the work, right? In recent time, but earlier on, in my early days, like in the 2000s, 2005 to 2008, flip houses is more or less you're flipping it. Doesn't have to be you're fixing it, okay? If it says fix, then there's a fix. But these days, when you say flip houses, everyone assumes that you're doing the work. But to me, you're still flipping a house, okay? So what license do you need to do any of the above? Whether you're fix or flipping, or you're fixing to rent to flip it, or you're fixing to flip to rent it, any one of those things, which we cover all of those strategies in Real Estate Money Secrets, right? Whichever one, you don't need any kind of license. You don't even need a driver license to do that. Okay, you just need to know what you're doing. Okay, so that means hopefully you educate yourself, because you can burn yourself easily, okay? Especially when you had the fixing part to it. You can burn yourself. For some weird reason, people lose $30,000 every time they get into fix and flipping without knowing what they do. There's something about that number. Most of the stories, which is a lot of them that I have heard of people trying to get into the game without educating themselves, they lose $30,000. So if you are in a place where you can afford to lose $30,000, sure. Some people lose $30,000. Some people invest $25,000 to $50,000 in training. Okay, and I think it's worth it, regardless of how much you pay for this. If you can figure this out and you start flipping deals and you're making $10,000, $25,000 every other deal, I think it's worth it, regardless, right? You would say the same thing, right? So, what licenses do you need? You don't need a license. The only thing you need licenses to do in this country, in this beautiful country of ours, and I say beautiful, quote unquote, right? Is the only thing you need license to do is represent other people's interests. Okay, especially when it comes to finances, credit, housing. When you're representing, when you come out right and said, "I'm representing a complete stranger's interest," right? Then the government will require that you have a license. Another thing they require license for is if you're touching people's body, like they can get hurt, like physically. Like for example, cosmetologists, they get licenses. I think tattoo artists get licenses as well. Medical doctors, right? And lawyers, why? Because they represent people's interest in the court of law, right? Realtors, real estate agents, they're basically there to make a commission primarily, but they're supposed to represent your interest in negotiating the best deal. But when you flip houses, you are literally buying to sell a house. And you may say, but when you're wholesaling, you're not necessarily going to exactly do that. But again, that's why we call it creative, right? You're not representing anyone's interest. Anyone that engages with you when you're doing real estate wholesaling, you should make it clear to them that this is purely for profit interest. And if they're motivated enough, they're still like, as long as you take away this house, I don't care. That's why the only requirement is a motivated seller. How do you find motivated sellers? Marketing, okay? Not calling attorneys, okay? Not calling attorneys, not going to the courthouse, not driving for dollars, okay? Not cold calling, okay? The only requirement here is marketing skills. And the only marketing skills that exist henceforth in the newest age right now must involve this piece of gadget right here. Okay. If it doesn't, you're wasting your time. I'm saying it right now. I'm predicting it right now. Okay. I'm telling you right now, things are going to get terrible and worse if you're still stuck on cold calling and you're stuck on driving for dollars, you're stuck on knocking on doors, anything like that. If you're stuck on things like that, the business is going to get worse for you. Why? Because that's a low barrier of entry. Anyone can come in and do that. And that means more competition. That means the homeowners are pissed off more by the time you're calling them. It just gets worse and worse, But when you put yourself in a position where you know that it takes a certain amount of willpower to be doing what you're doing, then you can rest assured that the competitions can't take you out, because most people are going to be too lazy to do that. So that's a good thing about that, right? So let's go on to the next one. Okay, we covered that. All right, I think this may be the last one. Actually, this is the last one, I think. All right, so how do you bid on a foreclosure auction? This is an interesting question. Okay, so I'm going to answer this question because I have the overall experience in real estate investing. And how do you bid? Okay, so the bid foreclosure is essentially when the bank is about, or lien holder is about to take away a piece of property when you don't pay the payment that you promised in a contract of some sort, in some kind of a promissory note. You default on it, you haven't paid. An example of a promissory note is a mortgage, okay? Any kind of agreement for payment, and you stop paying, and then they can slap a lien on your property, and then they can attempt to legally foreclose on your property, which means they take away the property from you, right? So after they take away the property, they auction those types of properties. It could be because of tax liens, it could be because of mechanical liens. So actually, contractors have the power to put a lien on your property if you don't pay them their money. It could be what else? Let me say. Let me think. There are a few types of liens out there. Okay, the most popular is a mortgage that you probably know about. So foreclosure auction is when you don't pay your $300,000 as you promised. You pay like 6 years, and then you got into trouble. You lost your you lost your house. No, sorry, you lost your job, and you can't afford. And then now and then they foreclosed on you, right? So the investors, a lot of investors show up to these events to bid on this property. So bidding meaning you say, hey, this is how much I can afford, and this is how much. So what they do is they set an initial bid price. I forget what they call it because I don't do this. Okay, but we've done it before. I don't advise it, right? But you set just like a regular auction, like an auto auction, right? There's an initial, a starting bid. That's what they call it. This is starting bid, right? A starting bid could be a property that's worth $200,000. Starting bid could be $105,000, right? And then this, you say, you know what? I'll put my bid in at $110,000. And then you have another person say, you know what? I'll pay $112,000. And then another person will come in and say, I'll pay $120,000. And then the adrenaline will start rushing and then say, you know what? Because now you're invested, right? And you want to win because everyone wants to win, right? So most amateurs will go there and then basically get into a bidding war and then forget that they are buying this particularly for an investment purposes and then overpay for a property. Okay. Have I seen such examples before? It happens all the time. Okay. How? Because they are the people that end up saving sometimes. Okay. Because we have another part of the business where we actually help people that are in foreclosure or people that got in trouble. A lot of them pick up these houses in this terrible manners. Okay. So that's where the question is coming from. How do you bid on a foreclosure? You bid on a foreclosure auction the same way you will bid on any house. Okay, you need to do your homework. You need to know the property. There's a good chance they won't let you in the property, and there will be a do not trespass sign on the property, especially if it's vacant, and you're not supposed to go trespass. You do that at your own risk. Okay, but if you know the business enough, right, you'll be able to make a bid based on the market value in that area, based on potential things that would have been damaged in the house. If you know that area, then you can make a bid. But here's the requirement. You need to know what you're doing in terms of the value of the property, the value of the neighborhood within 1 mile radius in the last 6 months of that location. You need to know what's going on. And you need to set your price. You need to preset the price you're willing to pay for that property before you show up to an auction. So when people start going at the bidding war, you know where you stop. And there's no emotions, there's no emotional attachment, nothing like that. You know where you stop. You're just like, okay, this is over. I can't, my price is $112,000. If anybody outbid me, I back out. And there's no hard feelings. Okay, that's how you set a bid for a foreclosure auction. The way to not do that is don't get into a bidding war and don't go there to get emotional, because when a lot of those properties, you don't know what's going on in them, and you're just going to get in trouble if you get into a bidding war. There's always going to be surprises when you're dealing with properties that need work, especially if it's in a bad neighborhood. There's going to be surprises. So you can't afford to be paying more than a preset price based on the criteria that are exposed to you that can become potential risk in the business of flipping houses. All right, so that's all I have today. Again, this is Ola. I'm the author of Smart Real Estate Wholesaling. It's available everywhere, and Real Estate Money Secrets. And you can get your hand on this book. Here's my quick invitation to you right now, okay? Education and mentorship access at 11dayschallenge.com. Don't try to go at this by yourself, okay? We have a system in place. It works. Don't cold call. Stop doing that, okay? There's things like email marketing, okay? You can follow up for the next 12 months with anybody that come and encounter with you. Text messaging is still good. I prefer not to do it, but it's still good because at least you can pre-qualify people even if they curse you out, right? Everyone is on their cell phone. Even 80, 90 years old people are on cell phones. Landlines, nobody picks those things up anymore, right? So if you want to take advantage, go to 11dayschallenge.com and I will give you a very good deal for 1 hour if you can take action fast. If not, you can always still come in, but go check it out and see what I have for you there. There's a short presentation, watch it, and come on inside. Hopefully you've been enlightened and educated, And I will see you right back here live 4 p.m. on Tuesday, next Tuesday. I'll see you right back here for the 49th episode of From Data to Deals. Bye now. Peace.